All I can say is wow. Wow to this energy. Like, we knew on some level that Aquarius can be unhinged. And Aquarius and Sagittarius is very, very interesting, very Fool energy, right? It's the energy of the Fool card, but the ups and downs are real. So if you're experiencing ups and downs in short, quick succession, we've got Mercury in retrograde, which isn't always a bad thing. I know everyone's like, oh, no, not Mercury Gatorade. But I promise it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes, I mean, I feel everything benefits us even when it's uncomfortable. But, okay, this is a twin flame reading. I just wanted to kind of feel into the energies. I didn't do much of an astrology anything. We have the new moon coming up on Sunday. I wish I'll do a reading for next week because we're going to be in that energy next week. But I just kind of want to pull whatever needs to come forward for the collective. Any energies, any experiences I've been having. And in the extended, which will be available on Patreon, I'm going to look a little bit more closely to the Divine Feminine Collective and the Divine Masculine Collective. I was going to go back to doing separate readings, but I just don't do them enough. So, and I think we're all so incorporated right now. We're all immersed in the energy of our counterparts and all of that stuff. And there's still this trailing off, like the ups and downs we're experiencing. The ups are the new timeline. That's where we're actually immersed in it, and then the downs are where we've been pulled back into the old timeline, or something has come up to purge or clear out for us, and we're experiencing the transition of the old world and the new world in real time. That's what's happening, even though it's probably related to something specific. The emotions, the experience, the energy is very visceral. So let's kind of see what's transpiring. All right, let me just move these off to the side for a moment. I've never used this deck. I was never really drawn to it, so to speak, but I was called to use it today. I have no idea how that's going to transpire. Give me a vibe here. What are we looking for? I feel like there are so many different counterparts in different parts of their journey, but I will tell you, this Pluto energy is helping us let go of belief systems that we hold, especially as divine feminines. Predominantly divine feminines watch these readings. Energetically, I'm connected to the divine masculines, but in the physical, I'm connected to the divine feminine. So I feel like there's just a lot of responsibility. Like, we're more conscious, we're more aware, so we should be doing something, or we should be making this happen. And there's a lot of stuff out there that dictates that if we're not in union, it's our fault. And I will die on this hill. It is not our fault. Our union has its own agenda. We can't orchestrate that. We can't force our masculine. There are so many times in which I have wanted to help my masculine get out of the situation that he's in, but I can't do that for him. I'm at a loss for that. Okay. That's actually part of his rite of passage. And I have to have trust. He's been asking me to trust him. The masculines have been asking us to trust them. And that's a really hard thing. I'm not going to negate the fact that maybe you have a hard time trusting your person. I'm not going to negate that for you. That's a reality. But holding on to that fear and that worry is doing us no good. So there's definitely a big shift. But there's also where I feel when Pluto was in Capricorn, there was this energy of like having to do the right thing, or expecting people to do the right thing without any consideration of all the other elements involved in everything, right? All the situations, all the people, all the circumstances, all the deep subconscious belief systems that dictate our behavior, right? There's all these things that made us feel like we had to give up or we had to cut them off or we had to do whatever in order to feel okay. Pluto and Aquarius doesn't feel that way. It's like, okay, you do you, I'm going to do me, and I'm just going to relax because I'm not interested in this drama. There's something with that, okay? All right, let's see. Okay, it's kind of on its side. Oh, we've got the Queen of Pentacles. Interesting how she's holding a ball over her belly, okay? I'm just going to speak to this for those of you that feel connected to this part of their path around spirit babies. I know that there's a lot of talk about that. I know that it is something that we know in ourselves is destined. And for those of us that are getting older, we worry about that. I feel like there's something coming in, especially with Aquarius being connected to the galactic field. I think energetically there's going to be a very big quantum or timeline jump for the Twin Flame Collective, where we won't be tethered into the timing of things as much. Like everything will just line up perfectly and it'll be boom, 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 boom. And that includes these higher vibrational frequency pregnancies where these children need to be born into this world, right? They are a collaboration of unconditional love between two highly vibrational frequency souls, okay? It's not my realm of expertise. My realm of expertise is healing the shadow and recognizing where the distortion and separation is between twin flames and divine connections, okay? But there are many people who talk about it. And I'm just saying this is coming up for a reason. I love that the wings are wrapped around the queen. Okay, she's tending her garden. Look at how lush, beautiful, healthy her garden is. She's taking care of herself. She's taking care of her body, her spiritual body, her mental body, all of those things. We have a rabbit here for fertility. We have a butterfly for transformation, but the wings around this, and I'm not sure if it's like there's a moon in the background, but there are wings wrapped around her shoulders, which tells me that these unions and these creations, co-creations and birthing are protected, okay? They're divinely protected. Nothing can mess with that. I don't know. Like, I think we've been so tethered sometimes into the physical realm of things that it feels like it'll always win, or the evil will always win, or the karmics will always win. But that's just the world that they've dominated. That's not actually the world we belong to. We were just visiting there so we can understand it and understand what we're here to shift and change. This is prosperity and well-being, abundance, opulence, extreme comfort, okay, generosity, a noble soul. I've personally felt a lot more abundant and generous, and it's helped me to have a little bit of blind faith. But if you take anything from this, understand that the path is divinely protected, especially if you know that this is that you having children or physically birthing children with your divine counterpart is something you believe that you are meant to have. You are going to have it, because it's not something you made up in your head. It's not something, I understand that, and this is part of where the 3D tethers kind of come in, where they come in and they shift our perspective about things, and they make it so that it's really difficult to trust our instincts and intuition based on how they've logicked and analyzed everything. So this is not the same feeling or sensing as somebody who is trying to attach themselves to someone from a place of importance. They're important to me because we have to have kids together, because Spirit told me that. It doesn't feel that way. This is the spirit babies coming to you and being like, yo, you're my mom, or you're my dad. This is something that feels very different than someone who is trying to make a connection that isn't there. This connection came to you, and it opened to you first. It was not a creation of a, let's say, mentally disturbed mind, because I feel like there's a lot of ripples somewhere in the subconscious narrative that is creating separation from people and their knowing and sensing. So Unless you've actually been on this journey, unless you've actually had this experience, it's going to be hard to understand, and it's going to be even harder to analyze because the energy of it and the feeling of it and the sensing of it is missing. I love that we have the Strength card. I think it's kind of odd that there's this random lion. Like, it's almost like she's trying to take a selfie or a video for TikTok. This random lion pops in and kind of like takes over. Here's the deal. I think this is very much the masculine energy where the divine feminines are looking good, feeling good. And then the masculines are like, hey, what about me? Don't forget about me. Okay. There's something really interesting about that. I want to see what they say in the book. Strength, courage, conviction, okay, resolution. There's defiance here, okay? It's not in reverse. There's defiance here. There's a strength here. And I just posted on Instagram, someone had sent a video to me that was just so funny, where it's this girl who's like having all the faith in the universe and then having multiple like crying meltdowns because it's not here yet. That was totally me yesterday. But it's breaking down my beliefs around me thinking that it has to manifest by a certain time in order for it to be legitimate. And the crying helps move energy out. So here we are. But I do feel like some of us, like, we've had strength for a long time. And I don't think it's about being strong or independent. I think there's a surrender that's happening here, a surrendering to the acceptance that it will happen when it needs to happen. And I don't know how I'm going to be. It's starting to be winter here. I did not want to be living where I'm living over winter, but things can change overnight, and I just keep leaning into that. I'm probably going to have a meltdown if I end up being here. Feeling kind of like the kid that was left at the bus stop. We've got those things going on energetically, but that's just the old tethers coming out. That's just the old residual energy that was never serving us, but seemed so logical and so familiar that we had no choice but to kind of buy into it. And I think now it's like, okay, well, there's something greater at work here. Like, I don't know how many of you have had the experience where your person's energy, you've felt it so intensely. And I know that there are some of you, because I'm in that group, who have actually, while very much awake, have had visions of living a different life with your person in this moment. I do believe, and I'm going to get a little bit further with the woo-woo here, I do believe that there are parallel timelines, and they're all merging. I've talked about that before, but there are timelines where we are with our person at this moment in time in those realities, and we are starting to merge with all that. I don't know what the transition is going to feel like consciously. I don't know how that's gonna come into our awareness, if we're just gonna wake up one day and it's gonna be a complete shift. I don't know. I have no idea yet. I guess that's part of the fun, although I'm not sure it feels so fun. Okay, and they're taking me on this. I guess we're just gonna keep going. Okay. All right, we've got the 9 of Cups. I kind of love this. Okay, we've got, interesting that we have a spider building a web back here. We have a butterfly again, another transformation, transition. This chick is just chilling in the ferns with the mushrooms. Maybe she's high. I don't know. High on life. I've felt like that every once in a while on this journey. Not going to lie. The spider web was interesting because it shows me that there's been a lot of effort into weaving this into reality. And when we talk about spiders, I know people are creeped out by them. They're actually really magical. And their ability to weave a tapestry, right? Their ability to create from within themselves. And then, of course, we have the 9 Cups. This is going to be, bear with me because it sounds kind of funny, but this is somebody has so much going on. She's almost bored with her life. She's so at peace. She has all of her needs met. She's just in a like heaven on earth kind of state. Okay. And I think that's really interesting because I do believe that's what we are co-creating with our person. And it's also what I believe that both counterparts want. They don't want to have the old relationship dramas with their person when they're with them. Okay. So what we desire from our person, and here's the thing, when you're in person with your person, things are very different, right? Like they just have a different vibrational frequency because it's an amplification, it's a clearing. But I feel like what we're co-creating is, and it's almost hard. I think it's easier for the feminines to believe that it's possible to have a peaceful, content life. I feel because the masculines are so indoctrinated into the third dimensional reality that it's hard for them to wrap their head around the fact that that could be possible. It's almost like, well, there's always going to be problems. It's just how you deal with them, right? That's the old sort of a little bit of bypassing toxic masculinity. There's a reality, a realism. You have to be realistic. But that's just old energy that is it's almost trying to circumvent, or prepare for things. There's something that's working out of the system for both counterparts at this time to allow to have this more engaged connection in the physical, where there's not the drama, there's not the projection, there's not the wounding and the triggers, there's just an ease. And sometimes we don't really know what to do with ease, because I don't know any counterparts that weren't born into deeply traumatic families and experiences, so there's something that's working out of the system so that when there is physical union, especially for twin flames, divine counterparts, I feel like there are some who have started to come into union because they have a different path, but for twin flames, it's very different. And I know that there are people out there who are like, you'll never be with your person or whatever. If that doesn't resonate with you, like there could be a part of you that wants to believe that so you feel like you could move on. But if you could move on from this, you probably would have already. Like, it's just, I don't know. I think there's still a lot of unconscious projection about this journey. Just be mindful about how somebody's message makes you feel about your own path. Because they could speak with conviction because it's whatever's serving them at this time, whatever's making them feel better about their experience, but it may not actually be what you need to understand about your journey. And I check in. I have no problem looking at myself and being like, okay, am I just saying this because I have pride or I have ego? Like I'm afraid to be wrong. I'm not actually afraid to be wrong. Like, of course there's always the fear of embarrassment, but I'm like, but what's really embarrassing about this? Like, I can move through that and be like, no, I still feel very strongly about this. So I don't know. Practice a lot of discernment during this time. People are going to want to grasp at theories to make themselves feel better about their situation. Something has happened in their situation that they've needed to placate their protective ego, and then they project it out into the world as if it is the only thing. Just lean into that a little bit. There's an enmeshment of energy that we're kind of trying to filter through as to what's worth fighting for, what isn't, what feels right versus what the right thing is to do. There's very interesting that we have the Emperor. It's funny how my throat keeps getting a little bit like gurgly. We've got the 5 of Swords. Okay. And I believe the 5 of Swords is Aquarius energy. Very interesting. Okay. And I find it fascinating that these moths are kind of flying away with some of the swords in this. We've got a dragon here that's kind of camouflaged into the greenery, and the swords kind of blocked it from coming forward. Dragons are very magical to me. And I feel like there were some mental blockages, right? With these swords, there were some sharp edges that just wouldn't allow the magic of the connection, the love of the connection, the energy of the connection to come into fruition in the physical, right? When we sit and worry about so many things and we try to manage so many things and we try to figure out so many things, I feel like there's such a blockage to just allowing the truth to unfold, okay? Just allowing things to show us. And I get like that. I'm certainly not going to judge anybody in that space. I 100% get that way when I start to get worried. Sometimes I get frustrated because they don't give me any answers when I want them. That's 100% me being an ego. And I'm like, all right, well, there's nothing I can do about that. And I'm not going to make up answers. So I might as well wait it out. I watched this video the other day on TikTok, and the guy was like, he was like, if you're obsessing over somebody else's behavior, and I'm probably not going to word this properly, but if you're obsessing over somebody else's behavior, it's because you're afraid of processing your own grief. You're avoiding your own grief about the situation. So the person disappointed you, they hurt you, whatever it is that you obsess over their behavior because you don't want to deal with the grief that disappointment brings. But disappointment is from a place of expectation, and we often have expectations of other people without any consideration for where they're at. And with this journey, I find what we're breaking down a lot, especially with the Divine Feminine Collective to the Divine Masculine Collective, is the way that we make them special in our mind. And if they don't behave in a way that makes us think that they think we're special, we have disappointment. But that's all just belief systems about behavior and feelings and emotions that don't take into consideration the complexity of being a human being. Like, there's so much more. It's not as simple as some of those relationship gurus want to make it seem. When we're dealing with fear and when we're dealing with deep programming and conditioning, we don't have the consciousness to actually do better until that opens up to us. And I know that's hard. It's the same with us, the way that we are so self-critical to us. So we're awake, we're conscious, we should do better. We don't even really give ourselves the capacity to have feelings or to mess up or to make mistakes sometimes. There is something, and that is not just for the Twin Flame Collective, but I find it shows up in the relationship between the counterparts a lot. But taking those thoughts away, taking those swords away, taking that conviction of right or wrong away, allows the beauty and the peace and the contentment and the love to unfold in the way that it's meant to. I don't even know who this is going to land with. I don't know. Okay, yeah, we've got the Page of Swords, so I'm going to maybe do this a little bit to bring up some space. We have the Page of Swords, which I kind of love because it's about being a student again. We don't know what we don't know. And I promise you, when your masculine comes into your life and they tell you all of the shit they've been going through, you're going to understand why they didn't bring you into it or why they didn't do whatever it is you wanted them to do. You're going to completely understand that. I do believe whether they're conscious of it or not. Yeah, we've got the Truth Bomb here. Truth Bomb card here. Whether they understand wholly that they're protecting their divine feminines or not, they are, for sure. And I know that, man, whenever I read for twin flames, it doesn't matter if it's a personal client or whatever, my sinuses start to drain. Like, there's something I'm clearing in the third eye. There's something I'm clearing in the perspective or in the perception of things, which is okay. I don't mind, but it's like, it can be a lot sometimes. But I feel like there's going to be such an interesting truth. And I kind of love how, do you see how this dragonfly or what have you, or moth or whatever it is, see how they're over here in the Five of Swords where we talked about, like, this is a no-win situation, the right and wrong, the black and white and things. This Page of Swords is fighting off one of those moth swords from that card. Like, no, we're not going to participate in this particular narrative anymore. We're going to learn something new. We're going to learn about ourselves, about behavior, about all the deeper sensing of things, and we're going to allow for the truth. And I kind of love that this Knight of Swords is running over one of those moth swords, kind of stomping it to the ground. We're going to allow the truth to come forward. We again have the green dragon at this page's feet. We have the green dragon at this horse's feet about to rise up. There's a big shift in something coming forward, and when that comes forward, all of these little things that we learned about being human in a relationship are going to come to light in a much deeper way. If you struggle to have compassion for yourself, for yourself in this journey, for your person, there's going to be stuff that needs to come up and clear for you. There's a wound that needs to be loved and healed and released. Otherwise, it's just going to keep circling the drain. It's going to be about the blame and the guilt and the shame, and none of that exists in the actual core of this connection. It irritates the shit out of all of that we carry in ourselves. Like if you have guilt in you, if you have shame in you, if you have these deep-seated beliefs that keep you in a rigid, restricted state, the love of this connection, the energy of this connection, the energy of your person, and the experiences you have with them are going to irritate the shit out of all of those things. So I just think there's going to be a deeper awareness with this. I love that we have the star. So I'm going to put the star right here. Okay. I love that we have the star, which is Aquarius's card in the major arcana, but it's also a sign of hope. It's also a sign that we are moving into better times energetically. We still have some stuff moving out, and we just have to let it flow and let it come. The masculines are dealing with their belief systems in regard to the people around them. They're learning to fight off the manipulative energies around them. Our belief systems for the divine feminines manipulate us. The belief systems of the masculines manipulate them, but the people around them are physical representations of those belief systems. They're people who actually are physically a manifestation of what a belief system would look like for them. So they're surrounded by it. It's a completely different experience than the feminines, and they don't have the same solid connection with their intuition and knowing. They don't have that quite yet. It's coming. And I honestly think, and here's the thing, I do believe that the truth is going to come to light, but I don't think we truly understand what the truth will look like. It may be different for every pair, but I do feel that it's time to just stop beating around the bush. And we don't have control over that, which I think is kind of a good thing. I think that the way it's going to happen in an unexpected way is so important. Let yourself be caught off guard, because you can't premeditate and you can't predict. You just have to be in the moment and let the energy move you in that moment, and allow that no matter what happens, it's okay. I know I'm a little bit harder on the feminines, and I lean into that. I'm like, where does that come from? Because it's such, when it comes to me, like energetically being like, let's just love each other, there's like this anger and resentment around abandonment. And I'm like, this has to move out. You have the power to utilize your love as a tool, because love is so much greater than hate. Love is so much greater than the absence of it. And I feel like and I don't know how to be more loving in that regard. So I know that there are people out there who are good at that. I know there's lots of people out there who blow smoke up people's butts, and maybe that's what you need, whatever. But this is the actual truth. We are moving into peaceful times. Everything that you sense in your cells is for you, and it is going to manifest. It's only the thoughts and the beliefs that you've been raised in and had experiences with that make you doubt yourself, your power, your love, your experience with your person, and then focuses on all of the stuff that doesn't serve you. So there's a big shift coming in our perception of ourselves, our role, and whatever that means. There's an unboxing. It feels like an unboxing. Anyways, I'm sending y'all so much love in the extended, which is on Patreon. I'm going to lean into the feminine energy, which they had me use these little bit of a lighter card. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of a taste of. Okay, so look at that. We have the 9 of security and abundance. We have another spider, okay, for the feminine. Security and abundance. That's the whole theme of what I'm going to get into in the extended for the feminines. And then for the masculines, I know there's lots of readers out there that crap on the masculines, but because I think I'm so connected to them energetically, I just can't tolerate that. They're not bad people. They're not screw ups. They're a product of their environment, and their conscious awareness has not broken open enough for them to fully manifest their gifts the way the feminines have. They're the exact way the feminines were before they started waking up. It's such a bizarre thing to witness. But I think people like that just play on the hate in somebody's heart because it makes somebody feel like they're being heard and validated. But to me, it just continues to, it doesn't really validate it. It kind of just continues the narrative that that person that you're so deeply connected to is awful, but they're a part of you and you're not awful. So anyway, okay, so we've got the 10 of Wands. We do have some perseverance, and we have the 5 of Cups. So we do have some regret. So we're going to kind of lean into their energies in the extended and figure out how things are going to unfold. I don't know. It's going to be super interesting, I think. All right. I'm sending y'all so much love, and take care.